My name is Bill Urbanek. I'm City Council Budget Director, and we have the Carnegie Library this afternoon. I'm not going to do a big introduction for the Carnegie Library because I'm sure they can do it better than me, but I will speak about the money real quickly. The city pays out of the operating budget, the library, $40,000 a year per the original 1890s agreement. This is reflected as an expenditure in the finance department. The city also collects the 0.25 mil real estate tax on behalf of the library. The 2021 budget has $51,821 of revenue budgeted as library tax administrative fees that we receive from the library for the collection of that tax. The city sometimes also acts as a pass-through for library grants, such as the $750,000 state grant received last year for the library for the blind and physically handicapped. These grants are not reflected in either the operating or capital budget. The city also owns many of the properties from the library. So from time to time, we will take action, council will take action on specific properties. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Mary Francis and Carlin Boss.
So just one formality, if I may, please. I think I was supposed to announce the reconvening of Pittsburgh City Council's budget hearings for today, which is December 1st at 1:33 p.m. I would also like to recognize fellow board member Erica Strasburger and Councilman Anthony Coghill. And I believe those are the members that are present. And with that,
Councilman Lavelle.
Daniel Lavelle.
Is Councilman Lavelle here?
Yes.
Okay, recognize Councilman Lavelle as well, and also a fellow board member on the Carnegie Library Board of Directors. And with that, we will welcome our Executive Director, Mary Francis Cooper. Welcome, Mary Francis.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, everyone. We're so pleased to be here. And did want to note that our original trust agreement with the City of Pittsburgh, between the City of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Library Pittsburgh, was signed in 1895. So this is our 125th anniversary.
Wow.
And we had such big plans for this year. Oh, did we have plans? But our 125th year goes from this past November till next November. So we are hopeful that by next November, at the end of the year, we will have big celebration and you'll all be invited. So during this pandemic, I think it's important to note that the library has been open, even though our doors have been closed at certain times. We have provided a lot of virtual and remote services. From the very beginning, you could call the library, you could email us, you could get on our website and engage in a chat and get your questions answered. We have done virtual story times, virtual book discussion groups, virtual programs. We've extended Wi-Fi out so people could come, particularly in the warmer weather, with their devices and use the Wi-Fi outside the library. And then when we started to reopen our doors, we allowed people to come and pick up their holds. We would do printing for people if they needed something printed, because, you know, gosh knows when you get something on your phone that you need to actually fill in, it's easier if you have a paper copy. We were for a while welcoming people in to do some browsing and to use computers. That lasted for a very short time. And then as the numbers started going up with COVID cases in our region, we felt it was better that we just go back to curbside service for now, so that we can do our part to help mitigate the spread of this horrible disease. So we are constantly reviewing and thinking about our services and figuring out what we can do to help the people in our community. We've got hotspots, computer hotspots that we have sent out to students and others who really need the support. And we have been getting books that we can give away to kids in particular. We just had a wonderful event at the Woods Run Library a month or so ago, where we partnered with the Diaper Bank, and they gave out diapers to families that needed them during this pandemic. And we gave out board books for babies at the same time. So they got diapers and they got books for their children all at once. And we had, gosh, I think it was over 150 people come by and take advantage of that. So we're really thrilled. In terms of, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the exciting news about our renovations. As you know, we've been working since 2002 to update, renovate, or replace all of the libraries within the city. And we have actually been through pretty much all of them. We are working on Mount Washington right now. And the library, I just was actually speaking with the staff earlier today. They are in Mount Washington now, putting the books back in.
Oh my, oh, that is exciting.
We will be doing a ribbon cutting next week. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we're still figuring out how do we welcome people back in. We will do curbside there, and we're hoping in January that we can at least do something where we get some time tickets for people in the community who want to come in and actually see this beautiful, beautiful building and all that we've done to it. So we'll look for that in January. We are also working to expand the library downtown on Smithfield Street. That library was supposed to actually be ready now, but we had a little bit of a setback during the shutdown of the pandemic. So we're not going to be open until mid-February down there. But again, you guys are going to be so amazed when you remember what the old library was and how cramped it was. We now are going to be on the main level, and we'll have a large space on the second floor. I went and toured there not that long ago. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a children's department and a teen department. You know, there are lots of schools downtown and so many families that pass through downtown. And we really see that library as being an opportunity to help the revitalization of the whole downtown. So we're going to be so thrilled to be out there like in early next year saying, you know what, we're opening this great thing.
Jeremy approves.
Downtown and
he's clapping hands. Yeah.
I know Jeremy's been with us through this whole ride, so we're real thrilled. And then we also mentioned the Keystone Grant for the Library for the Blind. We've actually changed the name. It's no longer the Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped. It's now called LAMP, which stands for the Library of Accessible Media for Pennsylvanians. And that's a much better, more marketable name.
Yeah.
And it really does reflect the fact that this is a statewide service that we provide, and we get state money to provide it. And the saddest thing about that service was during the shutdown, we were not allowed to ship books out on the tape to the people who use this all over the state. And so many of them were older, they were in care homes, they were very isolated, they were so desperate for their books, and they would call us and, oh my God, it would break your heart. But our staff are just so wonderful. They called everyone back. Everybody got a personal touch. We called them back multiple times and explained the situation. And then when we were able to start sending out books again in June, they sent out 90,000 books to people all over the state. So we will be, I think, starting very early next year, right, Carlin, to get the renovation of the Library for the Blind. It's over there, or LAMP. It's over there on Baum Boulevard. Real excited about that. Our budget for 2021, I think we're going to be okay. We know that we did receive indication that the state funding will be flat, at least for the next 7 months. So that's a good thing. The Regional Asset District is meeting today to finalize their 2021 budget. We expect that we will see a decrease there, but I think we'll be able to figure out how to manage that. You know, we will see how the property tax comes in next year. I know you all are probably anxious to see how that goes as well. Yeah. And we'll be hopeful that next year we'll just get in a position where people can spend money and pay sales tax and do all the wonderful things we want them to do to, you know, help our city and help our library and, you know, make things better. So I think we're good. We're going to obviously be slowly ramping up services again, you know, as the year progresses, and are hoping, are budgeting that at least some point next year we'll be back up to full service, and we'll be, you know, rehiring some of the positions that we have. We never laid anyone off, but we didn't fill certain positions as they became vacant so that we could manage our budget. And so we'll be looking at seeing if we can increase our staff at that point. I want to mention two other things quickly. One is that we are actively engaged at the library on equity, diversity, and inclusion work. We have a board task force that's looking at that at the board level, and Erica's been serving on that. We have staff work that's going on. And we've also been working to the extent that we can with our community. It's been really difficult as we've seen the community go through some very hard times since the summer, to not be able to have the library as a place where people can come and be together and process what's going on. But we have worked to make sure that we have books and other resources that get out to people, that we are expanding all of our services and doing the support that we can, and looking also at ourselves and our policies and at our practices to be sure that we are not unintentionally in any way, shape, or form racist or discriminatory. So that's been a huge focus of our work. And I mentioned that we are having our 125th anniversary. We also have some videos. We dropped one today. If you haven't seen it, it's on our website. I don't know if you all are familiar with Dean Bogg, who does some really interesting video work around the community. He's done a video that we dropped today on library services. He's going to do one highlighting the Board of Trustees that should be dropping tomorrow. We did not have our annual public meeting, which we, as you know, Bruce, we have every year because it's annual, but it's generally in April. We weren't able to have it this year, so we're doing a video celebration of the advocates and others that we usually recognize at that event. And then we're going to have a special 125th anniversary video drop as well. So that's my quick.
That's all. Is that all? Wow, what you've been doing.
Carlin, did I forget anything?
No, I think you covered it all.
Sure. Do
Way to go.
You want some time, Carlin, to supplement in any way?
No, I think that Mary Frances did a fine job covering the highlights of the library's activities this year.
Yeah, thank you.
And I also just want to thank the members, all the members of the council, because everybody has always been so supportive of the library, and especially thank those who serve on our board. That commitment is really important.
Yeah, but it's our pleasure to do that. And it's just such a wonderful organization. And I won't go on and on because it's very easy for me to go on and on. But it's a wonderful organization. And trust me, we get more out of it than we give. So one quick question, though, Mary Frances, about the ribbon cutting at Mount Washington. Did you say that was Saturday?
No. It's
Carlin.
we're actually doing a videotaped video
Okay.
ribbon cutting, and we're doing 2 versions of it just so that we could get everybody that we wanted to participate. So we're doing one on Tuesday, December 8th, and then we're doing the second one on Thursday, December 10th.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to get that right. And with that, I'll be happy to turn it over to other board members. First, if I may, Anthony, I know you're excited about Mount Washington, but I'm going to hold you off for just a little bit. Can I take Councilwoman Strasburger first?
Sure.
Councilwoman?
Well, I don't really have any questions about the work that the library has done or the work that the library is planning to do in 2021. I feel I'm up to speed. I think this is an opportunity for me to just echo what Councilman Kraus has said, that we are honored to serve on the board, that it's insightful. It's an eye-opening experience to serve on a board of an institution like the Carnegie Library, because you just don't understand until you see it up close, or you are elected to office and you're attending the legislative breakfast that you host, just how much you do within the community and for the different communities and outside of Pittsburgh as well. So, I think that this was a terrific overview of to give any listening audience, and we've seen more of a listening audience this budget season than other seasons, an opportunity to see what I see on the inside. You're doing all the right things, and really appreciate the work that you do, and how you've been able to pivot through this challenging time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilwoman. Councilman Lavelle, would you like to chime in?
Just to also echo both you and Councilwoman Strasburger's sentiments. I think you all have done a phenomenal job pivoting during this pandemic and ensuring that you can still service the community. I do know when You did open your doors up. Me and my children were in there.
Aw.
I think the second day after you opened up, as a way to get out the house and for them to enjoy it. But so we utilize it, and also just really excited for the library that's going to be opening downtown. I think that's just going to do a world of good for that area of downtown and the city as a whole. So thank you again for all your work. It truly is a pleasure to serve on your board.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Councilman. All right, Anthony, you're up. You're up at bat. Go ahead.
Why do you say that as though you're dreading it?
Oh, no, not at all. I just know you're a big fan of the revamped New Washington Library. So
No, Mary Frances, Carlin, welcome, and the rest of your team. But no, you couldn't be more right, Councilman Kraus. I am so delighted with the work that you do. I just had to chime in on this meeting and tell you so. In 3 or 4 different ways with me. It's not just Mount Washington, but starting with Beachview. That library is beautiful there. It's very well done. I happen to have a property right next door to that, so I'm kind of following you around and building next to you because you do such a nice job on your properties. You increase the value of the properties that adjoin and the whole neighborhood. It adds a spark. And the Carrick Library, I was at that grand opening. That was beautifully done. And that corner really needed that shot in the arm. And, and I'm surprised the kids that use it. I was so glad to see. I drive by once in a while, I look in and I see, well, not anymore, but of course, when you first opened, the kids, surrounding the table. So really, I just chimed in to tell you what a great job that everybody does with the Carnegie Library. And to the Mount Washington project, Lisa and I own a duplex right adjoining it in the back on Fetzer Street. And Lisa, there's only about 8 or 10 homes on the street. Lisa lives in half of the duplex, and she was kind of the contact with Ron Graziano. Ron?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Kept her informed every step of the way as to what they're doing, the delays, if there were any, the sidewalk in the back, which has been done much to the delight of the neighborhood. And I think all they have to do really is the iron fence in the back. And again, I'm a beneficiary of it. It really did. I don't know. I can't put a price tag on it, but to have that beautiful addition come out the back end of there, right next to our property, just like thrilling to me. It's really, really well done. Really beautiful. I'm in full support. Thank the other members for being on the board. Mr. Kraus, he sometimes, I tell him how thrilled I am. And he always says, "Oh, you're welcome, Anthony." So I don't know if he actually gets out there and builds, or what does he do anyway?
I almost said it 3 times while you were talking. I was going to say, "Well, you're welcome, Anthony. You're welcome, Anthony." But I let it go. But all the same, you're welcome, Anthony.
So to sum it up, all 3 of my neighborhoods have brand new libraries. The Brookline one may not be brand new anymore, but it was very well done. I think it might have been one of the first on the rotation. But no, I just really wanted to chime in and tell you how delighted and how great a job I think you all do. And being a builder, I look at the way things are done there, and it's really well done, really well constructed, really well thought out. And that's it. I just wanted to kind of toot your horn today, if that's okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Anthony. Ron Graziano is one of the unsung heroes.
Oh, yeah.
And he works behind the scenes. He works quietly, efficiently, effectively. You don't see him much, but boy, when the project is done, do you feel his presence? And he doesn't get the kind of kudos and accolades that he really does deserve. I think he's been on every renovation that I have served on the board for that I'm aware of. And he's magic. He really is
great.
magic.
Thanks for mentioning him. He is great.
No, absolutely. Lisa was kind of the point person for the 6 or 8 or 10 houses that are on Fetzer Street. And no, he was just fabulous. I mean, she would pick up the phone and call him and he would have the answers for her. So I know it's coming to an end. The fact that you're stocking the books is really great. And it's really beautiful. So thanks to you and your team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Enough kudos, or would you like a little more? We're happy to
Hold on. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. I think, several people mentioned the kids, and I do want to say that what's one of the things in the pandemic that worries us the most, and we're working as hard as we can to figure out how we can reach the kids wherever they are, because they need to read during this time, and we need to support that.
Yeah, yeah, and being disassociated from school and any sense of normality.
Right.
Normalcy, is that the word I'm looking for? It makes it extremely difficult for them. So
Yeah.
anyway, with that, I'll chime what's already been said. My heart's in the Carnegie Library and has been for a very long time, and most likely will be for a very long time to
Oh, we
come.
hope.
But I just can't imagine a city without the Carnegie Library. I've said this so many times, but I'll just say it one more time. We think these kinds of institutions just magically appear, doors open, shelving is stocked, books are there, and they're free to the people. But it's not. It's the engine behind that makes all of that work. And what you're seeing here is the engine behind it that makes it work. We need to call out the staff too, and the amazing job the staff does every minute of every day. How knowledgeable in their expertise they are, and committed to service. So yeah, it's been a good year.
Under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances, but 2021 is going to be great. So,
It's going to be great. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Be safe, please. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
Mary Frances.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Carlin.
All
Okay.
right. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
You. Councilman Lavelle, I guess I turn it to you now for our next budget hearing, which I'm not sure, Bill, is.
The Commission on Human Relations.
Okay. All right. Councilman Lavelle.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cross. So we'll now move on to the Commission on Human Relations. We'll ask our budget director, I believe he's going to give a brief overview, and then we'll turn it over to the director.
Yes, the Commission on Human Relations is a civil rights agency for the city, empowered by chapters 651 through 659 of the Pittsburgh Code to enforce civil rights laws, eliminate discrimination, and deal with matters of intergroup conflict. Total operating budget, once again, we're talking about reductions, not including the trust fund and federal funds, is $478,000 for this year. That's a decrease of what was anticipated in last year's 5-year plan of approximately $60,000 or 11.1%. Total full-time positions in all 3 funds, 7. That's a reduction of 1 from 2020. 1 position is eliminated in the first 6 months of the year, and that's 1 administrative assistant. The anticipated July 1st workforce reduction is 44,332. Based on the average salaries and benefits of current employees, that equals the elimination of 1.5 of the positions that are funded through the general fund. Commission on Human Relations non-salaries have been reduced just by about $1,000. There's also a couple trust funds we need to mention. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission Trust Fund, projected 2021 balance, beginning balance $82,000. The anticipated grant from the federal government's $35,000, same as prior years. Projected spending $35,021. That's a decrease of $8,149. Next is the HUD Trust Fund. That's projected 2021 beginning balance $388,000. Anticipated 2021 grant from the federal government $70,000. That's also the same as prior years. Projected spendings $127,000. That's a decrease of $16,568. Also is there's some capital monies as well that's given to the Commission on Human Relations, budgeted for them. $100,000 funding in CDBG. For the fair housing, that's the same as in prior years. And Councilman Lavelle, I apologize. This actually should be being chaired by Councilman Kraus. We got the messages mixed up. That it could, because it falls under Human Resources, I believe.
No worries.
Yeah. You're on mute, sir. I'm sorry. I just caught it.
No, we're all good. We're just.
I'm
fine.
going
Thanks.
in order here on how we have them written. So.
No, it's all good. Thanks, Councilman.
So with that, we'll turn it over to Ms. Shepherd. Are you here to speak?
I think Rachel is here, but I'm also here. I'm Jam Hammond. I'm the interim director for the Commission on Human Relations. We have a couple of people, and then Councilman Lavelle, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, I was apologizing. I didn't see you on my screen. I
Oh,
apologize.
that's fine. We have a couple people here. Rachel Shepard is our fiscal and contracting coordinator. And we have a few of our commissioners who've joined to listen in and give any comments that they can. We have our vice chair, Liddy Barlow, the chair of the commission, Wazi Bahamed, is on, our treasurer, David Bush, is on, and a member of our finance committee, Jennifer Pizzuti, is on. So I'll keep it brief in case anyone else would like to chime in. And give a little bit of background. I'm relatively new to this position, but I've been here at the commission for a little under 2 years. And as Bill introduced, we are the civil rights agency for the city of Pittsburgh. We do enforcement in the areas of housing, employment, public accommodations, and civil rights. Civil rights is the area that covers employees in the city who may have discriminated against members of the public, including the Pittsburgh Police. And to give some background, our department is smaller than it was at its largest point. We at one point had, a staff of about, 20 to 25. Now we have a staff of about 8. And we've been really lucky in the past years. The administration has, heard that we need resources to do this work, particularly the mayor's office and members of council who work closely to do that work along with us. But we are smaller. I also wanted to just to frame the discussion. I can see, looking at the budget, that there is a lot of leadership being shown by members of council, the Office of City Clerks, and the mayor's office in terms of this really difficult budget season. They are taking on some huge cuts in their own budgets, and I really appreciate that. I feel like it shows a lot of leadership. So I want to say that I'm not, completely blind to that before I talk about what's gone on with our budget. So to move on to what we've been doing in the past year, we've been continuing to go on. Our staff are continuing to investigate, and during the pandemic, we've continued our outreach. We are finding new ways to reach people. We've been holding events, renters' rights, and information about CARES Act assistance, and trying to push further the fair housing challenge that Pittsburgh faces, as it is directly related to our work. Of course, we've passed new legislation, which because we've done it with the help of members of council, which has been an extremely wonderful experience, and means that we have more to enforce, which is important, and it's a good thing, because the civil rights of Pittsburghers are non-negotiable. For our budget, the proposed budget is to cut about 11% of our budget upfront, and then on 7/1, an additional 8%, which, as was introduced, would eliminate 1 to 1.5 positions from the City of Pittsburgh Civil Rights Enforcement Agency. We did also give up a position earlier this year. There's been a little bit of confusion on our part, I think, of what happened. Originally, we submitted a budget request. We saw that the legislation calling for Pittsburgh to more closely look at its policing practices would pass, and we said we are going to need one additional investigator to take on looking at discrimination in policing. So we made some difficult decisions. We decided to move our admin position to part-time and give up parts of our budget in order to fund this position. And we weren't given a response to this budget request. We asked for a meeting. We were told we were too small of a department to meet with to discuss it. And we found out later on that we didn't get this investigator position to look at discrimination in policing, but we're also moving our admin to part-time without adding a new position. And of course, we'll be losing another position with what's proposed. I don't know that these cuts are similar to other departments who have already given up positions in the previous year. It seems sometimes looking at the budget that the smaller departments who have fewer resources are taking on a lot of the cuts for by percentage. And the commission has worked really hard to find ways to fund our work through grants and through working with our federal partners. But I can't help but feeling that the responsibility for enforcing civil rights and protecting Pittsburghers from discrimination falls squarely on the city of Pittsburgh. So we're looking at the budget, we're hoping that there could be a way to think around eliminating more of our staff so that we could continue to look at discrimination issues in Pittsburgh, to prevent discrimination in the areas that we currently cover, and to further housing rights, to further rights of the public when it comes to policing, and continue to work with council to make sure that legislation matches the values that we know that the city of Pittsburgh holds. So any other members of the commission or staff, I would love if you have anything to add on, please do.
Thanks, Jam. I'm Liddy Barlow. I serve as Vice President of the Commission on Human Relations and as Executive Minister of Christian Associates of Southwest Pennsylvania. I recognize that City Council has a virtually impossible task this year in funding a city without the resources that you have come to expect. And yet I feel that 2020 has been the most powerful movement towards civil rights that we've seen in this nation in a generation. And now is the time to fund this work appropriately so that we can continue to protect, defend the civil rights of Pittsburghers, continue to reaching out across our community to make sure that our communities are aware of the rights that they have, that our landlords and employers have full knowledge of the law, that people who are facing discrimination have a place to turn and are able to receive the justice that they deserve. I've seen during my time on the commission, this commission take great strides in its public-facing work, in our efforts to reach out to underserved communities, to be more visible across the city. And I would hate to see our work shrink back in the coming year at this time when it's really needed the most. So I'm in full support of what our interim director has presented, and I hope that you'll take that into consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the commission that wishes to speak?
Yeah, I'll go briefly. Hi, everyone. I'm Wasi Muhammad, currently the chair of the commission, as well as a senior policy officer at the Pittsburgh Foundation. Yeah, I would just wanted to reiterate, I mean, it was phrased extremely well by Liddy, just kind of doubling down on that. And Jam and the team have put a lot of time and effort working around it, like we're already having eliminated a position, being particularly flexible at this time. I very much appreciate their hard work, especially with this added pressure. There has been calls for us to be more involved in our outreach, more involved in how we interface with community, much more so than past years, and in ways that with a diminished staff, I do not think will be possible. So I'm really excited to see that. It's from the hard work of Jam and the rest of the team to have built those relationships. But once they're built, I'm sure everybody knows you got a constituent affairs that you all deal with. Once you kind of build those bridges, like having bandwidth to continue to interact with community is really, really important. And taking a step back after you build that bridge is a little bit tough, like for us to maintain that. So I do think, like of all times, we kind of need to strengthen those bridges and not leave them to disrepair at a time, but I once again, as Liddy mentioned, I totally understand the situation. that the council faces and how difficult it is. I do think that the staff did a tremendous job, and we as commissioners also understood that, and we're talking about how frugal we could be. And I think that the concessions that they've made already have been really, really great, and the level of output they've maintained despite that. So yeah, so I just wanted to reiterate, I'm really happy with the work of the staff here on preparation for the meeting, and then just kind of keeping this work going. But yeah, and to Liddy's point, the progress that the commission's making, I really hope that we can maintain that, and I appreciate the support of everybody here, and pushing us in the direction where the commission is more and more, useful to the community every single year. And we're going in that upward trend, and I'd love to see it continue. So I think this support, amongst all the other kinds of support you can all offer, is really great to see for that. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the commission that wishes to speak before I turn it over to members?
I don't have anything to add on top of what interim director and the commissioners have said. Just only to offer my my services if you have any questions about the commission's budget. I know that it can be a bit complicated with the various trust funds and the capital budget and things like that. So if you have any questions, please.
Thank you. With that, I want to turn it over to members for comment. Is there any members that wish to make comment? Seeing none, what I will simply say is I believe we as a city, I believe we as a body of council value the work that you all are doing tremendously. I agree with you, Ms. Barlow, that this has been the greatest push for civil rights that we've seen in our generation this past summer. And we do value that work. However, as acknowledged, we are in unprecedented times with our city's budget. And our city's budget is basically reflective of our ability to not have to lay off anyone right at this time. What I would suggest is if and when we receive an infusion of cash resources into our city's budget, that we could then revisit maybe in June or July, your commission and the staffing needs. Just as we're talking this out loud though, I am curious, have you all received an increase or an influx of cases regarding the police or other civil rights concerns, given all the activity that's currently taking place within our city and country?
I would say there are two parts of this. The first part is we have received an influx of inquiries. So inquiries would be when someone gives us a call and they're interested in filing. There are other parts of that. So a lot of the time, up until this most recent referendum, those complaints were essentially almost exclusively handled by CPRB and OMI. And in the city code, when someone reports something to OMI, the commission has its hands tied. We can't touch it for 180 days. So at that point, at 180 days, people sometimes become a little bit disenfranchised and don't want to continue filing and feel that there's no point in them continuing with the commission. That's one part of it. Up until this point, we haven't had a formal relationship with CPRB, and so CPRB investigates, and it can take a while for them to get the complaint to us. There are other scenarios where someone had wanted to file against the police, but the police actions were either outside the city, so not Pittsburgh's police force, or involved something that wasn't the city of Pittsburgh, but was still within the city. So something like a bridge or something like the courthouse falls outside of our jurisdiction. But we definitely have had many increased inquiries. And I think we're looking forward to being able to take on those cases. But I think that it will be difficult to convince Pittsburghers that the government cares about this issue. Seeing that we don't have a dedicated person, and seeing that it does and has for the past couple of years taken a while, and we've been forced not to touch any issue that OMI has for 6 months at a time. That doesn't really breed trust for people who want to file for discrimination in policing.
Okay, thank you. then again, my suggestion would be if and when we receive a infusion of cash, that we go back and revisit your budget to see if indeed we can provide resources for the additional investigator that is necessary. With that, seeing no further comments from members, we thank you all for being here with us. We thank you for your dedicated work to our city very much. We will now transition to our public hearings for our bids. I am looking at my screen, and the first person I see is Mr. Waldrop. So we can begin with the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. I don't believe our budget director needs to give any sort of budget review of you all's department. We'll rather let you all go right into whatever presentation you may have.
That works.
Great. Thank you, Councilman Lavelle and members of City Council. Again, I'm Jeremy Waldrop, President and CEO of the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today about our work. As most of you likely know, the PDP is comprised of business and community leaders, property owners, civic organizations, foundations, and residents who provide energy, vision, and advocacy for downtown Pittsburgh. We work collaboratively with our partners in striving to create a positive downtown experience for residents, workers, and visitors alike. We do this work in service to our mission, which is to advance initiatives that foster economic vitality and improve downtown life for a moment or a lifetime. As you all are very well aware, 2020 has been such a challenging year for so many people, but particularly here in downtown Pittsburgh, where work from home advisories have severely impacted every facet of downtown life. That said, we've been working hard at reimagining almost every component of our work to support the hundreds of small, independently owned businesses that call downtown home. We continue to provide comprehensive clean and safe services throughout downtown Pittsburgh, sweeping up garbage, recycling cigarette butts, and removing graffiti. We've also instituted more frequent sanitizing of high-touch areas around downtown. And while our volunteer program has seen a significant decrease in volunteers this year, we're providing thousands of hours of services that include park and trail maintenance, weeding, mowing, leaf collection, graffiti removal, and general cleaning, primarily on the periphery of downtown. Earlier this year, we worked closely with the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure and Public Safety to rethink a number of streets with a high concentration of restaurants, allowing for safer outdoor dining spaces, creating socially distanced space that's really provided a lifeline to many of the small businesses that have been particularly impacted by the pandemic. These streeteries, as they're called, popped up along Penn Avenue, 6th Street, Market Square, and are transforming this winter with 24 businesses modifying their outdoor spaces to provide safer dining spaces in the winter weather. Partnerships like this are critical right now in helping these businesses survive. We continue our work with public safety in downtown. This year, we've seen civil unrest and protests with almost daily actions this summer. And we really appreciate public safety officials' ability to continue to communicate well with the business community, letting us know what to expect and when to expect it, and their support as we work through these challenges. We understand that budgets are tight, but we still really look forward to continuing conversations on community-based policing and understanding how the downtown substation can best meet the needs of the downtown community. We are very appreciative of the city support of the Allegheny Health Network community-based outreach programs that are ramping up as we speak, and looking to really see those services support in meaningful ways individuals experiencing homelessness, dealing with substance abuse, and the challenges that they present, realizing that there has not been enough resources dedicated to that to the past. So we're very excited about that. Obviously, special events is a big part of our work, and that's been impacted significantly this year. But we're thrilled to be able to provide some safe outdoor experiences around downtown to encourage the region to visit downtown and our iconic holiday traditions. This past weekend, we opened the 9th annual People's Gas Holiday Market in Market Square. This event has also been reimagined. It has a larger footprint to allow for proper social distancing, but still serves as a real anchor destination supporting the restaurants and retailers in downtown. In addition, we've done work with a dozen local artists to provide COVID-friendly art installations this holiday season, again, breathing much needed energy into downtown Pittsburgh. In 2021, we're committed to finding new ways to create community during these very, very challenging times. But we know that working together, downtown's going to come back stronger than ever. As you'll see in the included budget, the 2021 budget will remain the same for 2020. We have legislatively the permission to increase the budget by 6.6%, but have decided to remain flat for this next year, acknowledging the challenging times that so many in the business community are experiencing. As in past years, the bid allocation will be primarily dedicated to clean and outreach efforts, with 63% invested in these critical services. Programs to market and promote downtown Pittsburgh account for about 15% of our budget, 4% dedicated to transportation-related initiatives, and 7% to economic development efforts. This next year, we'll be working with property owners and stakeholders to discuss the renewal of the Business Improvement District legislation, which expires in 2021. We know that these are extremely challenging times, but again, believe that the investment in this organization through the bid is extremely important to assisting the recovery of downtown. So each of you will be hearing from us in 2021 as we work with a committee of property owners to establish what we hope will be the successful legislative authorization of the Business Improvement District for the next 5 years. We know the next few months are going to be super challenging for the restaurant community specifically, as work from home orders are likely to continue. So you will be seeing from us a concerted effort to support those restaurants. We appreciate the mayor's office and their ability to help trumpet these efforts and remind the region of the important role that these small businesses play, and how important it will be for folks to continue to support these guys so that they're here when folks return. Happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from members? Councilman Coghill? You're on mute, Councilman.
Okay, sorry about that. So thank you, Councilman Lavelle, and thank you, Jeremy, for being here. I just wanted to really, I guess maybe not so much question, a couple comments. I love the work you do, Jeremy. You know, I love hearing you talk about downtown Pittsburgh. And when I look at downtown before the pandemic, of course, you know, the potential there is just off the charts. And I felt like you were really drawing in, you know, like a nighttime crowd and, you know, just more lively. And I really believe in that. And I kind of have a passion for promoting Pittsburgh just because I'm born and raised here. And I do serve on the SEA board. And I feel like we kind of do that in a way with the conventions, you know, trying to bring people here and say, you know, not only do we have a beautiful facility, but it's the surrounding area and the downtown area in general. And I was reading an article a little while ago, and this is due to the elections. And I couldn't agree with you more on your comments as to, you know, Allegheny County every 2 seconds on national TV, you know. I mean, who cares why? But bottom line is, in marketing and advertising, I don't think there's many people in the nation that haven't heard of Allegheny County at this point because of that election. So no, I just really wanted to say I love what you're doing. And, you know, I kind of feel the urge. I wanted to be involved, but then I'm looking on your board of directors. I'm on it. Is that right, City Council?
Councilman Lavelle is our representative.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you got the right person there because he represents downtown. So, but then it says City Council, I guess, you know, all City Council, but not to mention, I know you would let me be involved if I were true.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, right. So no, I just wanted to compliment you. You know, I love the work you do. I love promoting our downtown area and city in general. And I'm glad you're there to do it. You know, I think you do a really great job at it.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And yeah, I think, you know, it's going to be, as I mentioned, challenging these next several months, but downtown is such a great place. Or neighborhoods like downtown and Oakland are really built for density. And, we haven't seen in generations something like this that just prevents folks from coming together. So it's certainly a learning experience for us all. And I think we're all trying to figure out how to become more resilient and how to make sure that we create communities that, can support itself. But as you mentioned, with sporting events and conventions, those things are kind of what we're made for. And without those happening, it's certainly a big loss. But yeah, we're looking forward to the other side of this.
Jeremy, one other question I had. We were talking with the mayor yesterday morning, and the theater district, okay, in general, whether we're talking about Hines or the Benham, are they in jeopardy? Are any of them in jeopardy of, not making it?
I mean, I think arts and culture has certainly taken a huge hit. I know a lot of the smaller companies and even the trust have laid off significant numbers of staff. I mean, I think they're solid organizations with great balance sheets and they're going to make it through, but they're going to be different organizations kind of coming out of this. I think for us, and one of the reasons we kind of doubled down on supporting art this year specifically, is we want to make sure that those artists continue to make art and that they can get through the other side of this and don't abandon this, real critical component of our economy. It's so much of what's driven folks to relocate to Pittsburgh, to come back to Pittsburgh, is a strong creative community. And so I think it's in jeopardy, but I'm confident that the leadership that we have, and specifically in the arts and cultural region, we're going to see those things stand. We just need folks to wear a mask and practice social distancing and kind of beat this pandemic as soon as we can and get folks, able to get back and convene together.
Yep. And I love to hear you say you're focusing on that. I love our arts, our theater district. For me, is one of our biggest draws. When I talk to the folks that, live in the surrounding outside of Pittsburgh, they come here a lot for the theater district. And so do I, as a matter of fact. In talking to the mayor yesterday, he had mentioned, forming a partnership with the people who have been very successful coming out of Pittsburgh, probably CMU grads or things like that, people who are from the city of Pittsburgh, and developing, I guess, a partnership with them, a financial one, preferably, because, he's talking about ones that went on to great success. So I don't know if he's spoken to you about that. It sounds like a great idea, though, and it sounds like something that they would be passionate about. To put those two together where we didn't have to rely on, any public funding would really go a long way. Have you talked to him about that, or you feel that's a good idea? Or
I'm not familiar with this effort, but it certainly sounds like a good idea. I know, getting folks that are familiar with the city and really understand how special this place is critical to, getting additional investment. And there's certainly going to be some opportunities coming out of this. And so, yeah, I'd be more than happy to learn more about this and support those efforts where it makes sense.
Right. Okay, that's it for me. Again, thanks, Jeremy. You do great work. Hopefully I'll get more involved with it.
Thanks. I appreciate your kind words.
Thank you. Real quick, Jeremy, because you spoke about the arts. If members have not been downtown recently, there's actually some phenomenal artwork that has taken place over the last couple months. You want to just talk about that a little bit, Jeremy?
Sure. Through our partnership with Domi and kind of expanding the sidewalk space, the 900 block of Penn Avenue has a beautiful mural created by a local artist, Jayla Patton. And then Janelle Young, we've been working with her. She curated, in addition to her own work of other local artists to create space spheres. So we have beautiful art kind of encouraging folks to social distance, providing kind of uplifting words. These are adhesive stickers that have popped up around downtown. She's also been commissioned to do work on the Granite Building right at the corner of 6th Avenue and Wood Street. She's done some really amazing pieces there. In addition, for the holiday season, we've commissioned 13 local artists to work with 13 retailers downtown to rethink the downtown window display. So holiday windows are such an important tradition of downtown Pittsburgh. And so those just opened up this past weekend. We have a whole host of tours available. We have taken a look at Pittsburgh sports icons and commissioned local artists to re-envision these icons in public spaces, so they're on the sides of buildings around downtown. We've created a tour of all these artworks so folks can get on our website for the holidays, downtownpittsburgh.com/holidays, and check those out. The majority of these artists are from the Black community here in Pittsburgh, which we're really pleased to support those efforts, and just the talented individuals that we have here in this city. We want to make sure that they are acknowledged and recognized and supported, and that their practice continues to grow here in Pittsburgh. Thanks for the plug, Councilman Lavelle.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from members? Councilman Wilson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. And Mr. Waldrop, it's nice to see you and hear more about this. As a new member, and being this is my first budget hearing with you, could you elaborate? Could you tell me a little more about like how you all are funded and how we basically let's start there. How you're funded.
Sure. So our organization has a contract with the city of Pittsburgh to operate the Business Improvement District. That district was created about 25 years ago by city leadership and property owners to basically create a self-assessment tax. So this tax is levied by our organization through this contract that we have. We are established through state enabling legislation as an authority. So we put this levy onto the property owners directly. Our boundaries are kind of Fort Duquesne to Fort Pitt Boulevard, and then kind of roughly speaking, the Crosstown Expressway. So really kind of the tight triangle in downtown Pittsburgh. That makes up between 35 and 45% of our annual budget every year. The rest of the dollars are received through corporate sponsorships, membership, philanthropy, and a small contract with Pennsylvania Department of Transportation to support a transportation management association. So every year we come to City Council to present this budget in hopes of approval. That's specifically for the bid component, which, as I mentioned earlier, is about $2.4 million. The bid is renewed on this 5-year term, with 2021 being the last year of this current term. So we'll be working with property owners to introduce a strategy for the next 5 years. If we receive their support, then we'll come back to council and ask for their support to reauthorize the Business Improvement District for another 5 years. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think there are some plans in the future to maybe have more of a downtown feel, be expanded, across the highway. I'm not sure, I might be bringing up a hot topic, but into the space where the Penguins want to develop. Does it stop right at the highway there where you collect taxes, or is it expand?
It does. It stops right behind US Steel Tower and the hotel there. We have not actively pursued any sort of expansion at this point. We are very interested in making sure that the Cap Park is well maintained and serviced, and so we're happy to kind of talk through those strategies. Business improvement districts are not a new model. They've been around since the 1970s, and there are thousands of them around the country. So I think they're kind of tried and true with respect to the work that they can provide by, assessing taxes to the folks who are going to benefit most from the services. We have been in discussions with folks in the Strip District and are planning to provide some fee-for-service work along Penn Avenue. Next summer, we did this not in 2020 because of the pandemic, but we did this in 2019 as well. And then we've also been working with Councilman Kraus to provide similar services through the Parking Enhancement District on a fee-for-service model in the South Side.
And, is there something that you wish you had, like in this budget or future budgets, to enhance what you do?
I think our partnership with public safety and human service providers is critical, and really continuing the work that the police department has started to better address the issues that we see in downtown. A lot of times we feel that police are given responsibilities that they shouldn't be required to deal with, frankly. Folks experiencing homelessness, individuals dealing with mental health needs, substance abuse needs that are way out of the realm of that. So we would love to see additional resources and the continued support of those services. We'd also, love to see continued investment in infrastructure in downtown. We have many old streets that are frankly failing. We still have kind of trolley car infrastructure from the 1960s. So seeing that stuff removed and replaced will really help continue to create a world-class city. You won't be hearing us talk about that much right now because we understand that there's so many challenges that the city faces, and that every kind of component of government. But those are things that we're very much interested in. We've been working in partnership with DOMI and the Port Authority on a downtown mobility plan that we kicked off last year at this time to really rethink all of our streets. The ability to look at Penn Avenue and expand the outdoor dining and look at 6th Street and Market Square has made us, reach out to our stakeholders, to our businesses and property owners, and talk about how those streets could better function for them in the future. So look forward to kind of continued conversations about that, making our streets safer for all modes of transit, but really starting with primarily the pedestrian, because once you park, everybody's a pedestrian down here.
I appreciate you elaborating on that, and especially you started off with the public safety aspect, and you alluded to homelessness. Are you you have a partnership with the money that's being spent by PNC to build the new center, or the new complex?
We have been in conversations with them since day one about the need for those services. We've been supporting through an outreach team work that's happening in the cold weather shelter, and realize that is not a great space. It's not productive. And so seeing kind of 21st century resources and facilities that support folks who are experiencing homelessness is extremely important to us. We've been also talking with Allegheny Health Networks as they look to introduce these new services into the community as well, and are very excited about their outreach team and building upon the great work that Dr. Withers has done at Pittsburgh Mercy, and getting more folks out there doing the hard work of creating relationships and encouraging folks to consider the types of assistance that's out there. I think it's going to be really important moving forward.
Yeah, you're hitting on all the right words here, because you mentioned the AHM program, which there's going to be 4 outreach workers in my district on the north side, and you bring up a good point about partnering with them, because talking about the need and how we see that there is going to be some resources for people. And, I have to say, I'm having difficulty finding or helping them find a storefront so that they can, actually, start to provide these services. Starting to see, a little bit of, hesitation on, having a storefront where there will be, staff for this work will be there, just as office space, and there may be some traffic going in and out of that space. But as I'm not sure what if AHN is looking for space in downtown area, how do you view that? If as we move forward with AHN, like, are you going to be a partner to try and help them find space so that they can provide the services they need? Because we got to figure something out on the north side, because I need to have them have a storefront so that they can provide services, for the people that need it the most. And quite frankly, it's, they want to put this office space right in the north side of where, the communities that, you show up to community group, and they often describe these, the constraints of the police and the constraints of services provided. Like, people are really looking for you know, how do they help people in a way? And there hasn't been any real service. And so now we have it. And so, you know, I would really like to see, you know, people continue to commit to try and help these services actually find a storefront to do their services that's so needed.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we are in conversation with AHN. I've been working with Dan Palka on that and just trying to articulate the need and find the right spot. It is a challenge because frankly, there's some bad examples out there of how these services have really been a detriment to their neighbors. And so trying to explain to property owners that this is going to be different is not an easy task, but I'm certain that we're going to land on something down here. But it is an active search that's underway to find some storefront space, something that, again, provides the office space. It's such a weird time during COVID.
That's good to hear because, you know, I will say that one of the pushbacks that I've heard is that, well, it's only for a year because it's a pilot program for a year. So that's, you know, I'd like to really, anyway, if we could collaborate on that, if you have any ideas on how to, you know, tell the story, you know, or explain it in a certain way so that, you know, maybe, you know, some business owners that you could, you know, help me talk with on the north side. But anyway, it's a citywide thing as well. So I just wanted to bring it up. Well, thanks for your time. This was very helpful for me to understand.
You bet. Yes. Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in person soon, hopefully.
All right. Likewise. Oh, and I guess I'll take Councilman Coghill's position on the board when he's done.
They won't let me on. Did you hear it?
That's my joke.
Anything else from other members? Seeing none. Again, Jeremy, I just want to thank you for the wonderful work you all are doing. I do want to put a plug in to make sure anyone watching or paying attention. The holiday market in Market Square is open. It is operational. They have put a lot of work into ensuring that you can do so safely. So I would just encourage people to come downtown, spend some time there, check out all the new artwork that is downtown, and enjoy the holiday market. With that, thank you for being with us, Mr. Waldrop. We will now move on to Georgia Petropoulos with the Oakland Business Improvement District.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, all. I'm Georgia Petropoulos. I'm the Executive Director of the Oakland Business Improvement District. And thank you all for taking time out this afternoon. And it's really hard to follow my colleague, Jeremy Waldrop, because he and his organization just do such amazing things. And very proud that we have the downtown bid, because Oakland bid is extremely dependent and heavily reliant on partnering with our colleagues in downtown. So very exciting of the work they do, and hard act to follow. But as Jeremy noted, you know, downtown Oakland are Pennsylvania's employment centers. We are the centers of activity. From the obvious for Oakland is the eds and meds are our big focus, as well as our arts and culture. We have a large presence of that as well in our park systems, homes, residents, businesses. So it's almost a city within a city in some way in the Oakland area. So this has no doubt been a challenging year. I'm preaching to the choir, I think, with everyone here to talk about how COVID-19, how this global pandemic has affected our communities and our districts. But you know, in Oakland, we survived the 2010 recession, and we have been working really hard to make sure that we're going to survive this pandemic as well. We watch what many of the bids across the country and across the world, really, business improvement districts are a model that are in the United States as well as around the world. And we have seen the impact and the devastation that has happened in other business districts and communities, and also the amazing pivot that these entrepreneurs have done. And so I really have to put a shout out to the Oakland businesses and property owners, because given how challenging this year has been, we've all collectively have found ways working together to make sure that as much as possible, our businesses have remained open. We have places for customers to come out to shop, to dine. And as Jeremy noted, we're going to keep chugging along, and we're looking to see how the next few months to be able to get through until this vaccine is well and out to everyone. But the lessons learned and the great work of this past year is we have now realized, wow, we don't design our street systems for 4 seasons. We will now figure out how we can make sure that we have outdoor seating that customers enjoy and demand and like, and how we can make sure that our restaurants and retailers have space even beyond their immediate storefront. We learned that this past year. And I have to put a shout out to the city of Pittsburgh, to DOMI, to the Pittsburgh Parking Authority, to the University of Pittsburgh and to UPMC, Pittsburgh Innovation District, and to the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. We could not have rethunk our street systems when March surfaced and people were asked to stay home. And then all of a sudden, we saw a reduction in how many people can be inside of the restaurants and how to keep our restaurants open. So we expanded out. We closed off the street. We closed off parking lanes to be able to provide additional seating. And there's no way we could have done this without all of our partners. So we definitely want to thank for that. And looking to the future, we have an architecture team and many of our partners working on how we can start to think about our Oakland, our public spaces and streets that will be designed for all seasons. We still had a great year of putting out as many tables and chairs and heating lamps where we could. We've added new vibrancy to Forbes Avenue. We have new benches, new trash receptacles, street furniture. This was a project that was actually started last year and we had to postpone due to the pandemic, but we put it out there because we want people to know that Oakland is still a place that folks can come to, folks can come and enjoy our district, enjoy our restaurants and our retail establishments. So the work continued, but it could not have been done, as I said, without the help of many of our stakeholders. And I just, again, our businesses, these are entrepreneurs. These people think fast on their feet. They are ahead of the curve. It's amazing how they pivoted this past year. And so we know that the media focuses on businesses that close, and we are sorry to see that. But I'm very proud to say that in the last 6 months, we have seen 8 new businesses under construction, under renovation to open. So, you know, that's a sign of positive hope in terms of how the businesses continue to thrive. We know that our property owners have been extremely important in how they've helped their tenants, how they've helped our businesses. So again, we could not have done that without their help. As Jeremy explained, both of our business improvement districts collect annual assessments from our property owners, as does the Oakland bid. About 57% of our budget is reliant on these assessments from the property owners. This past year, we reached over $1 million. It's first time that we've reached almost $1.1 million. And that really was a tribute to not only the property owners and the assessments, but to our university and hospital partners that also provide annual contributions, as well as we raised over $500,000 in grants so that we can leverage the investment that's made. So it's been very pivotal and very critical. And the OBID board of directors, which are 29 proud, representing property and business owners, representing our government offices. Councilman Kraus is a member of our board of directors. Cultural groups, nonprofits, they worked hand in hand, nonstop, to see how we can continue to make sure that we were there to help our community. And just this year, for example, we as of the end of February had collected a little over 70% of our assessments, and sort of were waiting out what was going to happen in the remainder of the year. And in working with the property owner community, our board actually delayed our final payment, which would have normally been due to end of July. They delayed it to the end of October to be able to provide time and assistance. So the board is always looking and strategizing to see how we can continue to help and continue to be there, not only in the investment of our projects. So I just want to make sure to put a shout out to many of my leadership players that have been extremely important this past year, helping out. We also have a very strong cleaning program, Clean and Safe team. We have 5 individuals that just have been working nonstop to keep our district moving. With all this new furniture, all these new outdoor spaces, these were all new projects this past year. Our team kept up. We could not have done it without them. Making sure that, tables were wiped off, making sure that chairs were locked away in the evening, making sure that everything was being put out during the day. They're just a tremendous team. We work with Block by Block, the same organization that works in downtown. We're very proud of our team. And I just want to make sure to put out that shout out. No matter what the weather is, they're out there. They've been out there every day to make sure that Oakland continues to look great, really. And so we continued also to work with our institutional partners. So if everyone remembers that those awful months of March and April where there were so many unknowns and we didn't know what was happening. And in the case of Oakland, when your university shut down, it's much akin to the corporate offices of downtown shutting down. It was a really tough time and really challenging time to figure out what to do when the big population, the consumer population of Oakland was staying home, understandably so. So we continued to work with our hospital partners, our frontline workers. Thanks to our hospital partners, we at least were able to provide delivery access to the employees. We knew that the public was not to enter the hospitals for the obvious reasons of preventing the spread of COVID. But in each of our 4 hospitals, we had destination areas for delivery drivers, and we started to heavily promote delivery and pickup from our restaurants. That was the beginning. The summertime and springtime allowed us to expand seating, as I just talked about. And then with the universities coming back, with both University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon, and Carlow coming back, was really a saving grace for the community. And so we adapted and we adjusted because just having that walk-up population really made a difference for the business community. So we really want to thank our university partners for all the work and effort they've done to continue to promote their constituents, their employees, and their students to support Oakland. We followed the lead of Jeremy and his team and other bids in the state, and in the country. And we also have a gift card program out there right now promoting the purchasing gift cards. It's a great way to get cash in the door of businesses who need it most, especially now for the holidays, and especially during the downtime of January, when we usually see a bit of a dip in dining and restaurant in the American consumer. It's shoptohelp.org. It's a great program, and we're really excited that we're pushing that out there. Even during a year of COVID, I just want to do another shout out to the leadership on the OBID board. We undertook first time ever a comprehensive strategic planning process. Starting last year, we hired a consultant from the West Coast, working with a consultant here in Pittsburgh as well, to complete a long-term plan. So, I've always said, as leaders, we definitely have to look through that microscope, and we have to respond to the immediate need, which is exactly what COVID pushed us all to do. But you also have to look, as I'm going to say, using the same analogy, through the telescope. You have to look long-term as well. We can't let just what's happening in the immediate front not allow us to envision it and go forward for the future. So I want to put a shout out to the board and to many of our stakeholder partners that helped us, because we didn't stop. We could have put a halt and or an interruption to completing this plan, but the energy was there and the motivation was there. And so we are going to be unveiling our strategic plan actually at our annual meeting in 2 weeks on December 15th to begin to tell the world what our vision and goals are and how we're going to continue to push Oakland as this global economic center that it is. So investment continues, development continues, growth will continue, and we wanted to make sure as an organization that we were there and will continue to be there and be ready. So that's happening as well. And then the last thing I also want to note is OBID is one of many partner organizations that's involved with a great stakeholder group focused on how we can make Oakland a model community for accessibility. And that group is called Oakland for All. And this year we were the recipient of the Richard Meritzer Award, which is the second year that they've provided this award. As many may know, Richard Meritzer was an employee of the city of Pittsburgh and the first employee who joined our team and helped work with us to connect us through the city so we can focus on the needs of people with disabilities in our community. We have a lot more work to do. We're nowhere near done and ready to shout out being that model, but we're very excited that we have many people continue to be focused on that. And then just lastly, City Council, we really can't do anything without all of you. Councilman Lavelle, Councilman Strausberger, and Councilman Kraus, 3 in Oakland. I know your staff constantly are hearing from me and interacting with me on almost a weekly basis, and I can't thank you enough for all the help that you provide us. But we really continue to need your help and your support as we're continuing on. And just, come on out to Oakland. I mean, we're here. It's cold, it's snow, but again, our business community is ready. And thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from members? Councilwoman Strasburger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I simply wanted to thank you, Georgia, and your team and your board for all that you do. During challenging times, that's where we really see the strength of organizations, and we really saw OBID's strength during this time. And I know that we saw, Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership strength as well. I happen to work more closely with you because, part of the bid is in the district I represent. And, what I really appreciate about you, and I think permeates throughout the entire bid, is that you view the world through a framework, through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. And during a time when we could have just divvied up what we have and really coveted it and protected it, you were generous with your time and your resources. When you had more ability to figure out, working with, DOMI and others, how to close down streets to vehicles and open up sidewalks and streets for restaurants to be able to expand outside. You were very generous in sharing that information with other business districts that don't have bids, that don't have professional staff, that have all volunteer chambers of commerce, and including some in my district. Just your generosity there, I think, has to be stated, and your willingness to help others outside of the strict kind of boundaries of the bid as well, Craig Street included in Oakland. There are businesses all over the place that really have suffered this year, and you've been always there willing to assist. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the work you've done. I'm amazed to hear that there are businesses in Oakland that are under construction that are opening during this time. It's credit to the work that you've done as well. And, it strikes me that I think a lot of people think of Oakland as the economic engine, mostly relying on the eds and meds. And that's partially true, right? That's a significant part of it. There are a ton of small businesses there, lots of restaurants as well. We also have the 3 institutions that are going to be celebrating their, I think different anniversaries, different birthdays this year, but the Carnegie Museums, Carnegie Library, and the Pittsburgh Symphony, which sometimes performs in Oakland, as cultural centers right there as well. And it's something that when I heard the 3 directors, CEOs on the radio the other day talking about the anniversaries that they're jointly promoting and how important Oakland is, it's something I think you've known for a long time, but just as Councilman Coghill remarked about the theater district downtown, it's something I think that, is a draw for Oakland as well. And that's such an opportunity to continue to grow the area outside of the bid on Craig Street, but also, the area where that you represent, centered around the kind of 18-hour economy, the nighttime economy, and also the cultural economy. So it's something you do so well. And I just wanted to kind of point that out for anyone who might be listening, and to other council members as well. Thank you, lastly, for your participation in Oakland for All. It's incredibly important, and your dedication doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Any other members? Councilman Coghill.
Yes, welcome, Georgia. I don't know if we had the pleasure of meeting. I can't remember. But,
I don't think so yet. A few times when we've presented to the group before, obviously in person, I've seen you at the council table, Councilman, but
well,
I look forward to more opportunities. And maybe we have opportunities for more to join our board too.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Did you want to join boards?
I hope I'm not sending the wrong message. I'm not really looking to get on boards, but Oakland, like downtown, I love Oakland.
It's okay.
I used to spend my childhood out in Oakland, and I know, our president really is from Oakland, I believe. But so isn't Oakland the 3rd largest employment center in Pennsylvania? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they've used the word economic center because of its output in terms of the output of, and the contribution to the economy of Pennsylvania. Yes, so and that includes the major employers, which universities and hospitals are in the top 5 actually for the state.
Yeah, I always say as you're flying overhead and you look down, Oakland does look like it's like a city inside of a city. It's almost in comparison to, like Oakland, California, and so and the Hill District sits right in the middle, and that's where Councilman Lavelle, resides, and it really seems to be growing. I really love the all the hospital technology, everything you have going on out there. So I just want to say great job. And I wanted to remark 8 businesses opening up in the past 6 months. That really is something to talk about. It really is. In this current times for any business to open up, but for you to have 8 open up, it's really fantastic. So that's all. I just wanted to thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members? Councilman Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And sorry, I can't see your last name now. I went out of the view that I usually go in. So yeah, it's nice to meet you, Ms. Petropoulos. Petropoulos. Sorry.
That's
anyway,
why
what's that?
That's why I use Georgia.
Yeah, I tried. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you give you a lot of effort for taking a swing at that one, Bobby.
Well, so I spent, I always talk about being a 5th generation Northsider, but I went to Frick International Studies Academy, and then Shenley, and then University of Pittsburgh, graduate degree at University of Pittsburgh, and then I worked. That's where I came from, was the University of Pittsburgh. So I guess I was almost destined to be in Oakland for the rest of my life. So I spent so much time there, and I've seen it in so many different ways. When there was Schwartz's Bagel, Kuntz Bakery, and different businesses there. So it's really been great to see this part of the city really continue to grow. And I just wonder, we talk about, the third, I can't remember what the stat was, but about the economy that exists there. And you talk about it's like a city within a city. Is this, are there any parts of, the zoning or anything that you feel is constraining to Oakland at all?
Well, it's interesting. It's by the way, it's a great question. And it just so happens this year, and again, it's a project that began last year, the city of Pittsburgh, being led by Derek Dauphin, the senior city planner at the city of Pittsburgh, and the team of the Department of City Planning are leading a planning process for Oakland, actually looking at the vision and the goals for what the future of Oakland, and not just the central Oakland commercial district that our bid is focused on, but all of Oakland. And the timing couldn't be better because, we're seeing a renaissance, and we're seeing development, and we're seeing investments made in this commercial district that Pittsburgh hasn't seen in decades, really, in Oakland. So Councilman Wilson, the Oakland you're talking about, I think everyone is 0 degrees of separation from Oakland. I mean, I'm sure hopefully everyone here was even born in Oakland, right? If you're born in Pittsburgh, you were likely born at McGee. So somehow, some way, we all have that connection. But when was the last time you've seen proposals for office or residential towers or apartment complexes at the scale of what we're seeing and looking forward to Oakland? And there's also the vision of the concept of being a global center is also because Oakland is going to be the center of an innovation district that has been underway for at least a couple of years now. And so that we can see the future of Google and Philips remain in Pittsburgh, but also remain in Oakland, right? So this is the growth of our economy. And it's been, study had come out saying that Oakland has the opportunity. I mean, obviously we have what it does for the economy is incredible locally as well as for the state. but the opportunity to be able to exceed what the steel industry did for Pittsburgh is where the eds and meds and the research stands. And so we're at the tip of the future of a potential economy greater than what Pittsburgh experienced with the steel industry. And I know, I mean, that's really hard to wrap the hands around. So what does that look like from a density standpoint? That's exactly what the community, the partners, the stakeholders, really the whole region is looking at. And so how can Oakland continue to be able to accommodate that? At the same time, though, Oakland also has a need to grow regarding housing. We have a need to grow for, we do great with our housing now, obviously, in terms of having apartment housing, temporary housing, but we'd love to see more people living in Oakland. We'd love to see more schools for families that can be in Oakland. So that's another form of growth as well. And what will that look like, especially post-COVID, looking to the future? How do we make sure that we can transition students who we don't want to leave? We want them to stay. They may need to have something rental until they can have something permanent, until families can get started. We're seeing a growth in condominium need and desire for the empty nesters or people who are leaving the suburbs and coming to the cities. How can we make sure that Oakland's ready for that? So the conversation of density is going to continue and what we're going to see in terms of growth, but we also want to make sure it's a positive growth, that the greater community continues to remain desirable. But there's no doubt that is a conversation that's happening, and investment continues, and there's still interest on the part of investors to build and to expand all throughout different parts of Oakland and really the city. So as a native Pittsburgh, I'm also a native to Pittsburgh, and also spent quite a lot of time in Oakland, not just as a professional, but it's quite exciting to see where we're going as a city and how Oakland is contributing to that. So we're going to see change.
Great. And, I have to say, there's also another city within a city within those hospitals. I work for Pitt, but it was like we actually rented space from UPMC. And so my office was in Montefiore. And so I saw all the different development that was happening right outside my window for the past 8 years. And, in those hospitals, it's also just like between the tunnels and the bridges, between the buildings, it's also, its own little city in a lot of ways. So anyway, I appreciate you doing what you do, and thanks for, coming today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Any other members?
Councilman Lavelle, could I just follow up on one thing?
Yes.
With Ms. Petropoulos, right?
Petropoulos.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. Close.
Yeah. So listen, I just was curious as to policing out there. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Police, but you also have the University of Pittsburgh Police, and who else?
I mean, actually, yes, there are no doubt an overlap of quite a few public safety partners. City of Pittsburgh being the largest, University of Pittsburgh Police, actually, I believe the second largest in the region. The Port Authority, UPMC, Carlow, Carnegie Mellon University, Allegheny County. These are all entities that overlap and interact in Oakland, but are at the daily level, it's the city of Pittsburgh and Pitt Police that we really rely heavily on for public safety.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And I guess, all have jurisdiction to pull somebody over or to respond to any call. Is that right?
Yes.
The University of Pittsburgh Police, they don't have to be on the campus. They could be, down the road responding to any calls, right?
Yes, my understanding is within and I apologize, I don't have the distance on, within so many feet or yards of a property owned by the university, of which really they own property throughout the central Oakland area. But even notwithstanding that rule, the University Police has never, they will always respond when we reach out and we have a need. And so their presence is constant and daily.
So you have lots of public safety out there in the way of the school police, in the way of, the Pittsburgh Police.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, that is very much what our community relies on for the public safety.
I
And
think
that's
it's
what they're-
within, I think it's within 200 feet.
Is that
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And again, I just want to, what I want to reiterate, that's the rule in the book.
Right.
But even beyond that, we've never been turned down for opportunity for help, whether it's the city or whether it's the universities.
It's good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I also just want to thank you, Georgia, for all your outstanding work that you do in Oakland. I missed the majority, but I was able to participate in a couple of your meetings when you were trying to figure out how to transition Oakland during the time of COVID. And you all and everyone who really worked on it did a phenomenal job in figuring out how to support the businesses there and keep the restaurants in many ways as possible going. And also just wanted to thank you and the PDP as well for you all's work, working with Director Ricks on sort of the open streets and how to keep our businesses thriving. So again, just a world of thanks for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, we now need a motion to recess the meeting until tomorrow at 1:30, when we will have our next budget hearing, which will be with the Department of Law and tentatively Finance.
So moved.
Second.
We are at recess. Thank you all.